Let's face it, we've all been there, feeling like we're supposed to have it all figured out by now, right? Like there's this invisible checklist society hands you the moment you hit a certain age, and you're falling behind if you're not ticking all the boxes. Trust me, I've been down that road. I spent way too much time feeling like I was doing something wrong because I didn't fit the mold. But let me tell you something. You don't have to play by their rules. You can tear up that BS checklist and create your own, because here's the truth. Chasing after some false idea of normal is only going to leave you feeling empty. I've seen it happen. Man, I lived it. The more I tried to fit in, the more I felt like I was losing myself. And if you're feeling that too, you're not alone. But there's a way out of that trap, and it starts with stoicism. Now, what happens when life doesn't go the way you planned? Because let's be real, it rarely does. You break your back trying to do everything right, and still, life finds a way to pull the rug out from under you. I've been there more times than I can count. That job you thought was a sure thing, gone. That relationship you thought was solid, over. It's like life loves to test how much you can take. And I know how infuriating that can be. So the real question becomes, how do you hold it together when everything around you is falling apart? That's where stoicism comes in. It's the one thing that kept me standing when life knocked me down. If you've ever felt trapped or like the world's against you, trust me, I get it. But with stoicism, you can learn how to face those challenges head on and come out stronger on the other side. Rule 1. Focus on what you can control. Let's cut to the chase. Life is unpredictable. You can't control everything, but you can control how you respond. Think of it like this. I used to stress over every little thing, worrying about what people thought of me, trying to micromanage everything in my life. But it never worked. Letting go of acting and thinking like being the master of the universe was my job. Things became so much easier. Once I started focusing on what I could control, my actions, my mindset, that's when things started to shift. So next time life throws you a curveball, remember, it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you handle it. Rule 2. Embrace discomfort. Let me tell you something about growth. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, it's painful, but it's necessary. I used to avoid discomfort like the plague, sticking to what was easy, what felt safe. But nothing ever changed until I started stepping out of my comfort zone. I learned that the moments that scared me the most were the ones that made me stronger. It's like being in the gym. No pain, no gain. So don't shy away from discomfort. Embrace it. That's where the real growth happens. Rule 3. Practice gratitude. Here's a hard truth. Life's not always fair. But that doesn't mean there's nothing to be grateful for. I used to get so caught up in everything going wrong, I forgot to appreciate what was right. Gratitude became my lifeline. Every time I felt like I was drowning in frustration, I'd remind myself of the good things. Family, friends, the little victories. It's not about ignoring the bad. It's about shifting your focus to what truly matters. Rule 4. Accept change. Here's the deal. Change is inevitable. You can fight it all you want, but it's going to happen whether you're ready or not. I've spent too many years trying to keep everything the same, holding on to the familiar because it felt safe. But let me tell you, life has a way of forcing you to adapt, and the sooner you accept that, the better off you'll be. There is this movie quote that always stuck out to me. It said, "Hold on tightly, let go lightly." I'm really good at the holding on tightly part, but learning the art of letting go when the time is right is powerful. Think of it like the seasons. Change isn't just something you have to deal with. It's something you can thrive through. You lose one thing, but something new is always waiting around the corner. Rule 5. Know your values. If you don't know what you stand for, the world will tell you what to value. I learned this the hard way, getting swept up in what other people wanted from me, chasing after goals that didn't really mean anything. Your values, they're your compass. When everything around you is chaotic, they're the thing that keeps you grounded. Figure out what you stand for, and don't compromise. It's like being on a ship in the middle of a storm. You need something to steer by, or you're going to get scraped and scratched, crash or sink. And if you have a totally random set of values from friends or social media spinning like a hurricane around in your head, just know you cannot fix a boat in a storm. Rule 6. Live in the present. I spent way too much time worrying about the future, stressing over what might happen, and I missed out on a lot of good moments because of it. Once, well, maybe a few times, I would meet a new group of friends and start changing how I acted to impress one of the cuter girls in the group instead of having fun. I was thinking of how I could date her, all the fun we would have, and not focusing on the excitement of hanging out with those new friends. I felt foolish when I got rejected by her, thinking of all the time that I spent not fully enjoying myself. In another situation, I spent hours planning a virtual watch party with some old friends who moved away all to different cities. But when the time came to watch our show, the software didn't work. I wanted them to enjoy the show so much that I spent half of an hour trying to get it to work, instead of just doing it old school style and having everyone press play at the same time over the phone, which is what we ended up doing. But I totally could have handled the software glitch way easier and not put my friends through all of my frustrations. Many times, I struggled with the fear of missing out. Sound familiar? The truth is, all you have is right now. The past is done, and the future isn't promised. When I learned to stop obsessing over what's next and just focus on what's in front of me, life got a lot easier. So, take a breath and focus on the now. That's where life is actually happening. Rule 7. Challenge your thoughts. Here's something they don't teach you in school. Just because you think something doesn't make it true. I used to let negative thoughts run my life. Every time I failed at something, that voice in my head would tell me I wasn't good enough. But here's the thing. Thoughts are just that. Thoughts. They're not facts. I hated the sound of my voice because I wanted it to be deeper, but absolutely no one has ever commented on how I sound. I even became the second vocalist in a band that played all over the local area, having these negative thoughts in my head. Once I started questioning those negative thoughts, everything changed. Next time you think you're not enough, or that you have to be perfect, stop and ask yourself, is this really true, or is it just fear talking? Rule 8. Be kind to yourself. I used to be my own worst critic. Every mistake felt like the end of the world, and I'd beat myself up for days over it. I would have conversations in my head, reliving moments where I could have done better, beating myself up over it again and again. But I realized if I treated my friends the way I was treating myself, I wouldn't have any left. You've got to be your own biggest supporter. When you mess up, and you will, show yourself the same kindness you'd show someone you care about. You're human. You're learning. And that's okay. Rule 9. Seek wisdom. One of the best things I ever did was start seeking out wisdom from people who had been through the fire and come out stronger. Books, mentors, even random conversations with strangers. You can learn from everything if you're paying attention. The more I listened to other people's stories and absorbed their lessons, the more equipped I became to handle my own struggles. Knowledge is power, but wisdom, that's the real game changer. Rule 10. Find your tribe. I used to think I had to go it alone, that it was up to me to figure everything out. But here's the truth. Life is better when you've got people in your corner. Your tribe, the people who get you, who support you, who accept you for who you are, makes all the difference. It's like what Marcus Aurelius said. We are made for cooperation. Like feet, like hands, like the eyelids, like the rows of the upper and lower teeth. You're not meant to carry everything on your shoulders. The right people will lighten the load. Find those people and hold on to them. It's not about how many friends you have. It's about the quality. The right tribe will make you feel less alone in this world. When you find that group, that support, it's like putting on armor before you go to battle. You're stronger, tougher, and ready to face whatever life throws at you. Rule 11. Take action. You can plan all you want, but at some point, you've got to take action. I used to get stuck in my head, thinking about all the things I could do, and never actually doing any of them. The thing is, action creates momentum. I wake up earlier, go to the gym 8 to 12 hours a week, and I even started cooking more of my meals to eat healthier. Once you start moving, even if it's a small step, everything else becomes easier. You want to make a change? Start today. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because it'll never come. Rule 12. Be patient. Patience was never my strong suit. I wanted everything to happen now, and I got frustrated when it didn't. But here's the truth. Good things take time. Whether you're building a career, working on yourself, or healing from something painful, it's a process. It's like Seneca said, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. That craving for instant results is what keeps us trapped in frustration. Be patient with yourself and trust that the work you're putting in will pay off in time. Remember, you're not in a race, you're on a journey. Just like planting a seed, you don't get flowers overnight. Growth takes time, and every moment you invest in yourself is a step toward that blooming potential. Rule 13. Learn from failure. Failure used to scare the hell out of me. But I've come to realize that failure isn't the enemy. It's a teacher. Every time I failed, I learned something about myself, about the world, about what I needed to do differently next time. As Dale Carnegie said, most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. You can't avoid failure, but you can choose to learn from it. Each failure is a stepping stone on the way to success. Embrace those moments as lessons, not setbacks. Remember, the road to greatness is paved with mistakes, so keep moving forward, and don't let fear hold you back. Rule 14. Practice self-reflection. One of the most powerful things I've learned is the value of self-reflection. I started taking time every day to think about what went well, what didn't, and what I could do better. It's like looking in the mirror and being honest with yourself. And when you can do that, when you can really see yourself, it becomes a lot easier to grow. If you ran a grocery store, how would you expect to know what is going on if you never took the time to check your inventory? Rule 15. Let go of perfection. Here's a tough pill to swallow. You're never going to be perfect, and that's okay. I wasted a lot of time trying to live up to some impossible standard, and all it did was make me miserable. Most of the workout videos on Instagram are people on steroids, and just like reality TV, most of the so-called influencers are hand-picked models. Perfection is a myth. What matters is that you show up, you try, and you give it your best. That's enough. In fact, that's more than enough. Rule 16. Show empathy. The world could use a little more empathy, don't you think? I used to be so focused on my own problems that I didn't see what others were going through. But once I started really listening, really seeing people, everything changed. I now ask my friends and family what I can do to provide more value. I want to go the extra mile for the people important to me. Empathy is like a superpower. It connects you to others in a way that nothing else can. And trust me, when you're going through something tough, a little empathy from someone else can make all the difference. Rule 17. Set boundaries. Here's a lesson I had to learn the hard way. Boundaries aren't just important, they're essential. There's going to be a lot of people, friends, family, even strangers, who think they know what's best for you. And if you don't set clear boundaries, you'll get pulled in a million different directions, doing things you don't want to do. Do not be passive, because that is manipulative and is not how to be respected. Be assertive, honest, and direct. It won't mean you will always get your way, but you will feel so much better knowing that people around you know exactly who you are and what you stand for. Trust me, I've been there. Saying no isn't selfish, it's survival. Protect your energy, your time, your peace. The people who respect your boundaries, they're the ones worth keeping around. Rule 18. Seek balance. Life is like a balancing act. Too much of anything, work, rest, even fun, throws you off center. I used to be all in or all out on everything, and it burned me out fast. The key is to find balance. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Work hard, but make time to rest. Pursue your goals, but don't forget to live in the moment. It's like a seesaw. Too much weight on one side, and everything tips over. Life's better when you keep things in balance. Remember, the moments of stillness can be just as powerful as the moments of hustle. You cannot build muscle without recovery, or spending your free time learning about nutrition. Embrace that equilibrium, and you'll find a rhythm that propels you forward without wearing you down. Rule 19. Cultivate resilience. If there's one thing life's guaranteed to throw at you, it's curveballs. There's no avoiding the tough times, but you can build the resilience to handle them. I didn't always bounce back quickly when things went wrong, but I learned that resilience is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it gets. There is a word that I never really understood, and it is called grit. It's okay to bend, just don't break. Life will test you, but each time you stand back up, you become harder to knock down. Rule 20. Stay curious. Curiosity is what keeps life interesting. There was a time when I thought I had it all figured out, and that's when I stopped growing. The moment you stop asking questions, stop being curious, that's the moment you start to stagnate. I put this into practice in my relationships, and it never fails. I discovered that the 3 most important words in a relationship are not "I love you," they are "tell me more." So treat life like an adventure. Ask why more often. Dig deeper. There's always something new to learn, something fresh to discover. And that's what makes life so exciting. Rule 21. Keep perspective. When life gets chaotic, it's easy to lose perspective. Everything feels like it's so important, like it's life or death. But is it really? I had to learn to step back and ask myself, will this matter in a year, in 5 years? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. I had a friend who would say embarrassing things about the way I was flirting in front of the girls we were with, making things awkward. Looking back on those times, it was actually really funny how I lost my cool, and he was just making me work harder, which made me become even better in the future. Keeping perspective helps you stay calm when things aren't going your way. It's like looking through a telescope. You get a clearer view of the bigger picture. And trust me, the big picture, it's almost never as scary as it feels in the moment. Rule 22. Be open to feedback. For a long time, I hated criticism. It felt like an attack, like someone was pointing out everything I was doing wrong. But here's the truth. Feedback is one of the best tools for growth. I had to change my mindset, to see it not as an attack, but as a chance to get better. Now, I make myself ask the people around me if there is anything that I can do better. It's like chiseling away at a block of marble. Each bit of feedback shapes you into a better version of yourself. Just remember, listen to the constructive stuff and let the pointless negativity slide right off you. Rule 23. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is a game changer. I used to let my thoughts run wild, jumping from one worry to the next, without ever stopping to just breathe. But practicing mindfulness, it brought clarity, it brought calm. It's about being present, right here, right now. As Epictetus once said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. This wisdom shows the power of being attentive to the present moment. When you learn to quiet your mind, you stop getting caught up in the noise of the world, and that's where you find your peace. It's like a calm lake in the middle of a storm. By tuning into your thoughts and surroundings, you get back your power and create a sanctuary amid chaos. Rule 24. Celebrate differences. I used to think fitting in was the key to happiness, but the more I tried to blend in, the more I lost myself. Stop focusing on the negative attributes, like how some modern women and men act. We evolved this way because these behaviors are exactly what men and women desired from one another. It's been working for millions of years. Trust me, you don't want women to start acting less like themselves. Then they would just be more like your friends, and you're not trying to date them, are you? Here's the truth. Your differences, they're your strengths. The things that make you stand out, that make you weird or different, those are the things that make you you. Life is a whole lot richer when you embrace what sets you apart and celebrate the differences in others. We're not all meant to be the same, and thank God for that. Variety makes life interesting. Rule 25. Be honest. I spent too much time trying to be what other people wanted me to be. But here's the thing. There's power in honesty. When you're honest with yourself and with others, you create real connections. I had a huge discovery, realizing that I have no way of knowing all the quality people I was pushing away by wasting their time not being direct. You stop wasting time pretending and start attracting the right people into your life. Honesty is like a clear window. It lets the real you shine through. So stop hiding behind a mask. Be open, be real, and watch how much better life gets. Rule 25.5. Keep moving forward. This might be the most important rule of all. No matter what happens, keep moving forward. Life is going to throw obstacles at you. You'll face setbacks, failures, heartbreak. But none of that matters as long as you keep going. It's like being on a train. You don't stop when there's a boulder on the tracks. You find a way around it. Forward momentum is everything. As long as you're moving, you're growing. And that's what life is all about. Progress, not perfection.